In the world of AI right now, there's this incredible tug of war happening. And it's really a battle between two huge ideas: massive centralized power and widespread personal access. How this all shakes out? Well, it's pretty much going to define how all of us interact with AI for years to come. So let's start with a puzzle. In technology, there's one simple rule we all know: old hardware gets cheaper, right? Your phone, your laptop, all of it. But just look at this chart. This is the rental price for a specific NVIDIA AI chip. And instead of dropping, the price is actually climbing to an 18-month high. This just breaks all the rules. So what on earth is going on here? Yeah, this paradox with the H100 chip is our way in. Because the strange behavior of this one little piece of hardware, it actually reveals a much, much bigger story. It's a story about two powerful competing forces that are shaping the future of AI as we speak. And just to understand how weird this is, look at the timeline. The H100 comes out in 2022. By late 2024, everything looks totally normal. Prices are going down, just like you'd expect, but then, bam. December 2025, the trend completely flips on its head. Prices don't just stop falling, they rocket upwards, hitting a peak in March 2026. This isn't some market bubble, it's a fundamental change in how we value this hardware. So what changed? It wasn't the hardware, it was the software running on it. As AI models and the code that runs them get way more efficient, they're unlocking incredible new power from hardware that's already out there. A 4-year-old chip is suddenly worth more today than when it was brand new, all because the software has finally caught up to what it can really do. This crazy demand is really being driven by two major trends. So first, let's look at the push for scale. This idea that bigger isn't just better, it's the only way to play the game at the highest level. This quote just nails the new reality. See, it used to be that the team with the smartest algorithm would win, but now victory is often decided by who can afford the most electricity and the most hardware, who can build the biggest, most expensive data center. We're talking about capital expenditure, or CapEx, on a scale that is just astronomical. And for a perfect example of this, look at the recent leaks about a new model from Anthropic, codenamed Capybara. It's apparently a whole tier above their best model Opus. It's bigger, it's smarter, and it gets way better scores on really complex stuff. But here's the catch. They can't just release it to everyone because the cost to run it is immense, and there are huge safety considerations. That's the scale game right there. So this all leads to a really important question. If building the absolute best AI costs this much money and power, is the future of AI just going to be controlled by a handful of giant companies? Well, maybe not. Because at the exact same time all this is happening, an entirely opposite trend is just exploding. And that's the push to take AI out of the cloud and put it directly in our hands, running on our own machines. This sets up two totally different visions for where AI is headed. On one side, you have cloud AI. It's centralized, you pay a subscription, and it's controlled by a few big players. But on the other side, you have local AI, decentralized, running privately on your own computer, and powered by this massive global community of open-source developers. And listen, this isn't some far-off dream. We're already seeing people ditching expensive cloud subscriptions for open-source models that they can run themselves. For a ton of professional jobs, these local models are now officially good enough. And for things like privacy and control, they're actually way better. But wait a minute. How can a model that used to need a whole data center now run on, say, a MacBook Air? Well, it comes down to some really clever engineering that's completely changing the game. The secret sauce is a process called quantization, and the analogy here is perfect. Think about taking a huge professional raw photograph and squishing it down into a JPEG. You lose a tiny bit of detail, stuff your eyes would never even notice, but the file size gets dramatically smaller. Quantization does the exact same thing for AI models, making them small and fast enough for all of us to use. And of course, this field is super competitive. You've got TurboQuant, a pretty well-known method from Google, but now there's a new challenger on the block, RotorQuant. It uses a totally different kind of math with something called Clifford rotors, and it makes a very, very bold claim. It claims to be 10 to 19 times faster than TurboQuant. I mean, that is a gigantic leap in performance, and it's exactly this kind of crazy fast innovation that's making powerful local AI a real thing for millions of people. So, okay, we have these two trends that seem to be pulling in completely opposite directions: the race for massive scale up in the cloud and the race for super efficient access right on your device. So where does all this lead? What happens when these two worlds collide? Well, it turns out they aren't opposing forces at all. In fact, both the giant models and the small, efficient models are pushing development toward the exact same goal, the creation of true AI agents. We're seeing this incredibly fast evolution happening. We started with simple chatbots that could just answer your questions. Then we got assistants that could actually use tools like booking a flight for you. Well, the next step, the one we're right on the edge of, is the autonomous agent, an AI that you can give a complex goal to, and it will manage the whole project by itself, from start to finish. And this needs a whole new way for us to interact with AI, something way beyond a simple chat box. The new idea that's emerging is being called fleet management for software. So picture a Trello or Jira board, but instead of you moving the tasks along, you have autonomous agents that own those tasks and are just executing the workflows for you, all the time in the background. And that brings us to the big final question. This whole AI gold rush, this tension between scale and access, it's all shaping the answer. The thing is, the future probably isn't a choice between one or the other. It's more likely to be a seamless blend of both. A world where these giant cloud brains collaborate with billions of powerful private agents running right in our hands. And that future, it's getting here a lot faster than any of us think.